Don't know how much battery I actually have. I don't know how much battery I have, but it's fine. Hey friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing some of my top 5 favorite artists. My top 5 favorite authors of 2021. If you guys like this kind of content and want to see more of this kind of content from me, hit like, subscribe, and comment. And let me know in the comments who your guys' top 5 artists are. I'm kind of proud of this list because if you had asked me top 5 artists like a couple years ago, probably most of them would have been white. And now we got lots of authors of color. I'm pretty sure one of them is queer. It's a good time. It's a good time. Let's just kind of get right into it. I'm gonna put this in like no specific order because I can't put them in an order. You know, just like say this is like a cluster of 5 authors that I loved in 2021. I can't put them in numerical order because I suck, but let's just avoid that. The first author that I'm gonna have to mention is Hafsa Faizal, who wrote We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars. I will be reading We Free the Stars come 2021. Do not worry about that. I will not make sure that this duology does not go off on the wayside like the other things I have allowed. But I actually was really surprised from this book. I don't know why I was so surprised. I think part of me had like kind of like semi-low expectations, not because I heard such like low reviews of this book, but because I had heard absolutely nothing about this book. I just wanted to keep my expectations a little bit on the lower side so that way I can go ahead and, you know, be pleasantly surprised. And pleasantly is not even the correct term I would use. I was surprised. I was floored by this novel and this writing. If you guys enjoy lovers to romance, slow burn, and witty characters, I highly recommend this book. It's such a good book. I haven't even told you guys what this book is about. That's how good it is. I completely spaced. But this is YA high fantasy following two main point of views. Saphira, who is a hunter who kind of breaks the laws of her own little community to hunt for food and bring back nutrition and whatnot to her village. And Nasir, who is an assassin for the king whose entire existence is feared. Now once it's kind of obvious that magic has disappeared from their land, they get a hint that it's not completely all gone. So the two of them are kind of set off on their own little competition to find out how to bring magic back to this world. It is, I believe, based off of like Arabian myths or Arabic myths or Arabic mythology, I should say. So I really enjoyed this. I love the characters. Like they were all such standouts from one another. But we all know who my favorite was, and that was my Habibi, my little Altair. But I actually genuinely love this book. I was floored by the writing style. The world building was amazing. The magic system that had been created that we kind of got to see bits and pieces of, the antagonists they were up against, it was just 10 layers of so good. And I have so many positive things to say about Hafsa Faizal as an author. I believe her only work as of right now is just this duology. I could be wrong though. I'll just throw up what other works she may have posted or published had she created more, but I just love this series so much and I cannot stop recommending this to everyone. If you guys have not picked up We Free the Stars, 2021 is a good time to just binge the duology. And that's also a positive point. There's only 2 books. Not 1. 2. So you can probably binge it and they're both out. I will end up having to buy the hardback for We Free the Stars, and then like down the line I'll probably get the hardback for We Hunt the Flame as well, just so they're matching. But yeah, highly recommend it, and I cannot stop talking about this enough. The next one is actually a booktube favorite that kind of took booktube by storm, like I think late last year, and that is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is a YA contemporary following young Enchanted who wants to become a singer. It's all she wants in her life, and then she gets the opportunity when she auditions for a contest and ends up running into Corey Fields, who is a well-known R&B artist. There he promises to take her under his wing and teach her all about how to create this wonderful music, but he does have a very sinister idea in mind as to what else he's gonna do. This is one of my favorites of the year. Honestly, it discusses such important topics and makes it so it's easy to digest and it's not a lot, while also still being a lot to kind of comprehend. The writing keeps you going. It kept me super intrigued, and I read it in the span of like maybe 2 days, I believe. I absolutely love this book. I will throw the trigger warnings up on the screen for y'all. Same thing with We Hunt the Flame if I didn't do that already. But it's just such a good book, and it discusses, again, lots of things like how Black women are not listened to by the police, sexual assault of young girls, and in an industry that loves to take advantage of them, and kind of how far we're willing to go to forgive or justify the actions of celebrities because we have turned them into idols in our own right. Highly recommend this book. I will be picking up more of Tiffany D. Jackson's works. I want to pick up White Smoke, but I think I'll put Monday's Not Coming on the priority list for right now. And then we'll come back to White Smoke come like the spoopy season. But yeah, such a good author. I cannot recommend Throne enough. The next one is also another one. These are all, I think, with the exception of one author. I've only read one book from these guys just right now. And I use guys in a general neutral way. And this book is going to have to be Spellbook of the Lost and Found by Moira Fowler Doyle. This is a YA fabulism novel set in Ireland. I know. Following a group of teens who found themselves missing parts of their life, and in this process they go ahead and find a spell book that allows them to bring those pieces back, but unknowingly they also bring back something a little bit more uneasy, I suppose. Again, trigger warnings. I love this book. This is such a lyrical writing. Like, I can visualize myself back in Ireland when I studied abroad there, like several years ago now. Almost like, what, 6 now? 6 years, I want to say? 5 years? I went in 2016 and down to 2021, so 5 years. The writing, again, keeps you super, it's not a very, you think it'd be slow paced, but it's not a very slow paced book. It goes by pretty quickly. It keeps you super engaged. We have a lot of, it's a very inclusive novel. We have lots of queer characters. We have a hard of hearing character, and then we also have some representation of unhealthy relationships and unhealthy family dynamics. I love this book. It was one of the again, another favorite of mine of the year. It was just such an outstanding read, and it was beautifully done, beautifully written, and I cannot rave enough about this book. I will definitely be picking up more of Moira Fowler Doyle's works in the future. I know there's one that I've been meaning. I think it's like Bad Apple, or like One Bad Apple. I'll throw the cover up here. But it's just such an atmospheric read, and it does have those heavier topics that are dealt with in a more digestible manner for our younger audience, which I really enjoyed. The next one is one that I read around the same time that I read Spellbook of Lost and Found, and that is The Bone Witch by Rinchi Pecco. This is a YA high fantasy novel following young Thea, who finds out she is a bone witch, which basically means she can manipulate the dead. This ostracizes her from her community. However, she is sent to train with the other bone witches in the king's court almost. While she's training and kind of finding her own and her own voice in this community, she finds that there's a mess of a war that she is now stuck in the middle of. Rinchi Pecco is an amazing author. This is a little bit of a slower book. If you're going to pick this up, be prepared for some slow bits. Don't be too frazzled by them. It does pick up super quickly. But Rinchi Pecco, they are an amazing author. Everything is so lyrical, and even the slow bits went by pretty quickly. By the end of the book, I could not put it down. I was frantically texting Kate, who had read the book and recommended the book, to read it and get it done and over with. Not read it, get it done and over with, but like read it finally, because I haven't been. The world building is absolutely amazing. It's the best way I can describe it is it's a little reminiscent of Memoirs of a Geisha in terms of how the bone witches are trained, and Studio Ghibli. I don't know why Studio Ghibli, specifically Spirited Away, comes to mind when I think of this book, but it does. I will leave my full-length review for this book down below, as well as any other reviews I might have had for these books or currently readings. But I can't get enough of this book, and I will be finishing this series out hopefully in 2021. I think I'm going to make it a goal to make 2021 the year that I finish series finally. But it's such a good novel. So good. It's just great, and I highly recommend it. It has all the atmosphere and creepiness, but also just, it's so good. I can't get enough of it. Just listen to your Ate Therese and read it. Thank you. And the last author that I actually fell in love with during 2021 is actually Silvia Moreno Garcia. She is an adult historical kind of fantasy author. Most of her works, from what I've seen so far, are set in Mexico. Mexican Gothic is set in 1950s Mexico, and then Gods of Jade and Shadow is set in 1920s Mexico. I'll hold them both up because I just love them so much, and you'll see me like gesticulating with both books. She has a talent for atmospheric writing, genuinely like slow burn atmospheric writing, probably her strongest suit. And I love the settings that she creates. They're very vivid. They come to life of their own, specifically with Mexican Gothic, with Gods and Jade and Shadow. I especially enjoyed it for the slow burn. Like, this is a very, very slow burn kind of build of a relationship, if I've ever heard anything of it. And I absolutely adored it, and I loved the BIPOC representation that I got to see in these two books, and I love seeing kind of Mexico in different, I guess, angles, aside from like a more modern view, because, you know, now when we think of Mexico, we think of the beaches and like the parties. I don't, you know, these are historical fantasies, and I highly recommend Silvia Moreno Garcia if you're in the mood for some kind of like almost like creepy kind of vibes, but also not creepy. This one's a little creepier. This one not so much, but it will kind of get your like hairs raising on your end, and you'll be screaming a little bit, not out of fear. What you'll be screaming out of is completely up to you as a reader. But Mexican Gothic, like I said, is an adult historical fantasy following young Naomi, who receives a letter from her newlywed cousin. It's a very distressed letter. So she rushes herself from Mexico City to this kind of very downtrodden town to find out exactly what happened to her. Trigger warnings will be on the screen as listed as such, so you guys can catch them. Gods of Jade and Shadow is one that I read recently. I read it last month. If you guys caught my November wrap-up, I will leave that link down below for y'all, and the vlog that I did for Mexican Gothic during Trick or Treat-a-thon. But this is, again, another historical fantasy following a young girl who kind of wishes to find an end, like, who wishes to leave her current life and find a new one. By accident, she accidentally opens the box that contains the God of Death. And there she has to help him kind of figure out how to put himself back together in order to help him regain his title. Again, trigger warnings on the screen. This was a standout for me between the two that I've read. One, I love 1920s and kind of like that jazz age, which you guys are probably like, there's a lot of problems with 1920s, Therese. I am aware there are a lot of problems in 1920s. It's fine. I am allowed to romanticize an era that I cannot live in myself. Because I would die. Granted, 2020s aren't much great either, but you know what? We have to have a form of escapism somehow. But this is a standout for me between the two books. I think this one is not as spooky as Mexican Gothic, because Mexican Gothic is based off of Gothic literature, but this one will definitely get you at the edge of your seat. Again, another slow build book. If you guys are a fan of like slow build novels or slow build romances, highly recommend. This book in particular. I think we kind of match almost, but it's such a good book, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for more Silvia Moreno Garcia's works. I almost bought a third book from her, which is her newer novel, Certain Dark Things. No, it was I'll throw up on the screen here because I'm forgetting the title. Certain Dark Things is the vampire one, which I also want to read. But this one, because it was 30% off at Target, but I was like, no, let's save up some of her novels so I have something to enjoy in 2021. Because those will be probably 5-star reads for me. Like, both of her books so far have been 5-star reads, or Mexican Gothic's like a 4.5, but this one is a 5-star. But that is it for the books, or the authors, I should say, that have been some of my favorites of 2021 and will continue to be favorites down the line. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments who your guys' like top 5 authors are of 2021. If you guys are willing to pick up some of these books because I said so, or if you guys have any authors you want me to check out in 2022. But until next time, hopefully you guys are having a great week, and if not, hopefully next week is better for you. Bye!